Hello, welcome to Low Budget Entertainment. My name's Andrew.
I'm Alex.
I'm Bubba.
Today we're going to talk about War for the Planet of the Apes. Directed by Matt Reeves, who did the second Planet of the Apes movie of this trilogy, but not the first. He did a great job, just like he did with the second one. So this movie is the sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. A lot of Planets of Apes titles. So this one is about tragedy happens to Caesar because the war for the humans that started at the end of the second one has been going on for a few years. And he's found a way to get his people, which aren't actual people, to the Holy Land where they can all live in peace. But instead of leading them, he has decided to go on a revenge mission, which is all I'll say before we get into spoilers. It happens in the first 15 minutes, so what the little I told you is not a spoiler. You guys want to talk about actors?
Sure. Andy Serkis.
Yeah. Just like
Andy
the
Serkis?
Three-Ring Circus.
He is great as usual in these movies. He conveys so much emotion while not saying much, and just the facial impressions that he gives. Obviously, he's familiar with being a mostly animated character, and
he's Gollum. He's Snoke.
Conveying emotion through not full body movement. He's just very good at conveying what the character's feeling just based on his face, and I find it so powerful when he actually spoke in this movie.
Yeah, you see him as Gollum, and he is that creep factor, but you also feel bad for him. You see him as Snoke, and you're like, are you Darth Plagueis? Nah. And you see him as King Kong, and you're like, that's just a gorilla. You see him as Caesar, and you're like, this is a powerful leader who also happens to be a monkey, or ape. I don't want to sound offensive to the ape people out there running around in the California redwoods saying, Caesar is home. Because it's real. This is a documentary.
Oh.
I don't know if you
awesome.
realize that.
Wait,
yeah,
what?
This is all based on true events that are happening.
So does that mean
James Franco created a disease.
The future?
Yes. Matt Reeves is a Terminator from the future, sent back in time. We're crossing over Apes meets Terminator, which sounds a lot cooler than it should.
Yeah.
I will say Andy Serkis is the face of motion capture, and if anyone should ever... Seriously, it's time for, I know the Academy Awards don't matter at all, because it's not going to stop him from doing shit, but he should get recognized for all the work he does for that.
Can I just say something about the motion capture?
Yeah.
It's so good, and I love it because you look at Caesar, and sometimes during watching this movie, I looked at him and was like, that's Andy Serkis. And then I look at him and oh, that's a monkey, and it's like Andy Serkis and a chimpanzee at the same time, and it's perfect. You can tell it's Andy Serkis, but it's also just perfectly believable.
Well, it's you can tell it's still an actor. It's not just a cartoon.
Yeah.
You can see Andy Serkis's facial features if you know what he looks like. Yep. So let's talk about what's his name?
No.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson. You mentioned before we started filming underutilized, and that's not even a thought that I had because in my mind this has always been Caesar's story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the story of the apes, and I think that's something they did a good job throughout the entire trilogy, is changing up the human cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot.
But still having it be about the apes, and I thought it was excellent. Woody Harrelson, you can, obviously in the end you see his true motives and his true colors come out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I almost talked about last month with Spider-Man. He put some complexity into a villain that could have just been some war guy who wants to get rid of the apes.
It's interesting.
He had different reasons, and once you saw his code of ethics almost that he lived by, he did a really good job of conveying all of that.
And he didn't do his normal Woody Harrelson shtick. In a lot of movies he plays himself, and he did not play himself in this movie. But it's interesting that you said that, because in the first movie, you connect with James Franco at first, and then you start to connect with Caesar. In the second movie, you're 50-50 Jason Isaac, is that his name? Or
I
was that?
I was just thinking that. I don't know.
Malfoy. Jason Clark. No, that's someone I work with. Jason something, or Clark something. But then in this one, you're like, it's all Caesar and a little bit of Woody Harrelson, which was one of my cons, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but I can totally understand why you wouldn't find that as a con. Then there's, did you want to say anything about Woody Harrelson, or do you want to talk about Nova?
We can talk about Noah.
Let's talk about Nova. Chevy Nova.
Cute little girl.
She's probably too old to say that in real life to the point where it's creepy, because for some reason they always cast older. That's because little kids can't act, but if she is a little kid, she was great.
Oh, yeah. One of the few child actors where I see their performance and it doesn't lessen the quality of the acting in the movie overall. Like, I mean, you see a lot of movies and then the kid comes in and it's like, it's not bad and you can't say it because they're a kid.
Right. Unless it's...
It does lessen the... Like, whenever she was interacting with Andy Serkis or whoever, you could tell she was an easy actress to interact with for the adults.
And she interacted with a monkey that wasn't really there.
Which makes it all the more impressive.
And you never thought, let's go pod racing. You never thought that. You're always like, this is she's a little girl that is a great actor. Or she's a character. You don't see the actress until after the fact when you think about it.
I gotta say, I wish her name wasn't Nova. Because that just confuses me. Because, I know this isn't supposed to be a direct prequel to the original. But, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. At first I thought maybe it is, but now I hope it's not because I like the original, but this trilogy is just fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm not. I don't like. It's not like I don't like it because it didn't perfectly mesh with what the original was. But I just wish they didn't have that nod, because I mean, there's a character in the original named Nova, and it just all it did was really confuse me. I liked her character, and I thought she added a lot to the movie. But I don't think they needed to have that scene where they named her Nova.
She was Nova for the sake of being Nova, just so people like you and me and maybe Bubba. Have you seen the original? No. So people like us, not that outsider.
Okay, I've seen bits and pieces when I was very young, but not enough to know.
Right, but she did great. And other than that, all the
actors,
not enough to catch the reference. No. I just learned about what you guys said.
There are a lot of references, like the things that they tied the monkeys to in the crosses.
Oh,
those were scarecrows in the original Planet of the Apes, to keep out outsiders.
Yeah, see, in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I did catch on the TV they talk about the mission going into space.
Yeah, Charlton Heston.
Which, that is, little things like that makes me want to see this get into a final Planet of the Apes movie as a finale. Maybe they have one more movie and turn it into, it makes you see how the apes have gone from the heroes and are transferring to the villains, almost like what number 2 was for the humans. Yeah. And then a 5th one where it's the actual Planet of the Apes story. I know I'm in the minority for that.
I'd like it
desire,
to be done.
But I want to see it.
It seems like that's such a weird thing to do if you've seen Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Which it gets a lot of hate that I don't think it deserves. It's not great.
It's not terrible.
It's interesting to watch. You get to see someone else's interpretation.
I like the
of
makeup.
Modern day.
I like all the makeup,
But I just don't know if that would work in the movie nowadays. But I wouldn't have thought a movie where the main character is an ape would work in 2017, exactly. But it did. And that can take us to our pros.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
The whole movie's a pro.
Yeah, seriously, you can say there's not a lot of action compared to the second one.
Not a bad
But
thing.
what it did was the first one was mostly emotion. The second one was mostly action, which is not a bad thing either. This one was a perfect blend between the first two, I think.
I agree. I thought the same thing. One of the more specific pros I thought of was how almost every character that had more than just one line pushed the story further, and I don't think that's something you can say for a lot of movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, every single ape had their role in completing their goal.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just mean his crew either. You've got the orangutan Maurice, Bad Ape, who was a great character. I was worried he was going to be Jar Jar Binks.
The one orange looking gorilla.
Luca.
Yep.
Oh, no, the orange looking one.
That was
the bad one.
Right?
No. And there was the white one.
Let's talk about the one that's they call him Donkey.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a great line because they call him Donkey for Donkey Kong. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they call you Donkey, but you are ape. I'm like, he doesn't get the joke, and that's just funny to me because an ape's not going to get a Donkey Kong reference.
No.
I thought they were just called Donkey because they carried stuff around.
Well, I think it's a mixture.
Yeah,
I mean, they're mules.
I didn't really put that together.
But it's Donkey Kong. Like, maybe that's just my mind, but I laughed. But like I said, even the small characters, like the character that the ape that he had babysit his baby.
Mm-hmm.
And she, like, even she gave me an emotional response to the movie, and all she did was like hand signals, which is crazy. What do you guys think? I mean, I can't think of too many things I don't like about the movie. Is the problem?
No, I agree that. I mean, another, like, I say it a lot, but the scenery was beautiful. A lot of it takes place in the mountains during winter.
Which I'm looking at Hunter's wallpaper.
Yeah, I know.
It looks just like the movie.
No, and it was really, really pretty. The beaches that they were on looked nice. I had, like, no CGI complaints.
Mm-hmm.
One con that a movie, it's really nitpicky, and I almost feel bad.
Are we gonna get into cons now?
Oh, I thought that was an introduction to that.
I have a pro.
If you got one more pro,
I have one
I
more
was just
pro.
gonna say.
A lot of movies are like this.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of noticed it, especially in this movie, and I really liked about it. There was absolutely nothing that was unnecessary. Like, I feel like every single plot point from the very beginning of the movie led into the next one, and so it all felt like every single thing that happened mattered.
Well, that's when you know you have a working movie. If you've got extra stuff, you take it out.
Mm-hmm.
Everything built on the last thing, and I really like that.
A movie should work to the point where if you take one scene out, the rest of the movie doesn't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this worked like that.
Yeah, so this was, in that sense, perfect.
Yep.
So, yeah, let's get into cons. What were you going to say?
That con, it's super nitpicky, and just the military looked, they just seemed really dumb. Not using logic, and I know you had a possible theory for why that is, and we can get to that in the spoilers.
Yeah,
but
that was just kind of a apologetic.
There's a scene, not that there's any spoilers, but the military is moving down a beach line trying to get to some border, and Caesar and his crew, they want to follow them, and so they're just on horses, literally trailing this military. And it's like, not one of you is looking behind you.
Yeah, they're like 100 yards away, and if one person turned back, they would see, and no one
just
did.
stuff like
that.
The way that it's almost the way that gets too much into spoilers. But there are just certain things in the movie that makes you think, like, I feel like if I was there, this problem might not have happened. But in that just. It's not lazy writing, having the humans be dumb. No. But it was almost like...
In any movie where there's an army of bad guys, they're dumb. They're dumb.
Yeah.
Look at stormtroopers, look at...
If they're smart, then the story would be over. And
if they're smart, it adds tension, but if that scene doesn't need tension, then they're just not smart. Yep. It's an unfortunate thing that happens in filmmaking when you have armies.
Yeah, and that's a thing. You guys have any dislikes?
I have a dislike. It's more just like a wish. Like, I wish there was more of this type of thing. There were no shocking moments. There were no...
For you, personally.
Well, I just think that everything that happened felt... It was a great movie, and everything made sense. Everything that happened worked, and I liked everything that happened. But everything kind of happened... I don't want to say predictably, but... simply. Like nothing really happened that really changed up the equation of the story.
Well, that's honestly a pro for me, because the thing that I think is so great about this trilogy is they're so simple in their storytelling. It's like, how did this not exist before? Simple. Like, when I saw the trailer for Django Unchained, I was like, how has this not been a movie before? It's so simple. The slave that rebels and becomes a bounty hunter. And this is there's been so many Planet of the Apes movies. These are the best of the three. Yeah. How has this basic of a story not been told already? And I think when I get into spoilers, I will say what it reminds me of.
And I have a thing that I also want to bring up in the spoilers, because I had one shocking thing during the climax. Either I'm dumb or you overlooked this when thinking about this. I just could be dumb for not seeing it coming.
Me overlooked it?
No, him saying there's no shocking moments.
Maybe I forgot.
And that's what I think, because I do that in movies all the time until I was just sitting here racking in my brain. And we can get to that in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You guys.
I have a few more cons.
Oh, you do?
A few more cons. I already said I think Woody Harrelson was underutilized, but I felt he wasn't the main villain of the movie. I thought the ape donkey, was the main villain of the movie. He was the main he was the emotional villain of the movie, where he, like, Woody Harrelson's the Force that you have to deal with. He's like the Emperor Palpatine, but Donkey is the Darth Vader. But my biggest complaint, I think, is the Winter, the one that betrays him early on in the movie. Spoiler, kind of, but not really. He disappeared.
Where did he go for the rest of the movie?
They choked him out, and then you're like, is he dead? But if he's dead, the soldiers would have found him and known something's up.
Yeah, that was a bit
I always thought I thought they killed him.
I wonder if it's a deleted scene somewhere. I don't know.
That's an interesting theory that you have about Donkey, which I can't think about without thinking of Shrek.
Donkey!
Yeah. But
Caesar sounded like...
I feel like more of a secondary villain is the primal instincts inside of Caesar.
Yeah,
and that's something
absolutely.
It's kind of like his spirit, like his like whole revenge mission.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, is this going to destroy him or not?
Is this going to turn me?
And that's not a spoiler, because in the synopsis on IMDb it says Caesar struggles with his primal instincts on what to do.
Yep.
And I do feel like that was more of a battle than anything with Donkey, but because like they reference it literally the whole 90
right
minutes,
is it am I going minutes. To by doing what I know I have to do, will I become Koba or will I stay Caesar?
Exactly.
So and that's really what I hope they do with this is off topic with Luke Skywalker in episode 8. Will I become Darth Vader or will I stay Luke Skywalker the darker I get? I don't know, that just sounds cool to me. That's a cool concept.
It is a cool premise. Any other cons?
No, I'm ready to
all right.
give my verdict.
I will start it off. Great finale. It kept the story. It wrapped up a trilogy nicely while also leaving future money grabs open. And I would give it probably an 8.3 out of 10. I thought it was really, really good, and I enjoyed my entire movie watching experience for it.
I'm going to give it a 9. I would give it the only thing keeping it from being a 10 for me is, I don't know. It was such a good movie, but it did not, there was no super shocking or exciting part, which I thought was kind of like a lacking, like nothing really, there was no big like heart-pounding scene, in my opinion at least, but that's like the only thing.
I'm very tempted to give it a perfect score. No movie's really perfect. I mean, you get Back to the Future and a few other things like that, but I said this to Bubba, and you're gonna shit your pants when I said it, but I think, aside from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, this is the best film trilogy ever made. And only because this and Lord of the Rings, all three movies are super strong, just as strong as the others.
And you know, our reaction off camera was much different than what you just saw.
Yeah.
But I immediately, just out of sheer shock, tried to refute it, and his argument holds up.
Yeah, I mean, like,
not one of these movies is going to beat Empire Strikes Back.
No,
but as a trilogy,
it's consistent,
right?
As a trilogy, it is consistently good.
Because Return of the Jedi is not as strong as the first two.
No,
The Dark Knight Rises isn't as strong as the first two. The Captain America trilogy, the first one is not as strong as the last two.
It's hardly a trilogy.
Captain America.
Yeah, I mean, the only overarching plot is the Bucky thing.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into semantics.
Whatever.
I mean, this isn't a trilogy either, but it's a trilogy because it's a trilogy made in this franchise.
So did you give a final?
I'm going to give this movie a high 9.5 or higher. I'd like to see what the deleted scenes are. I just said that like a Italian or something. I don't know what the accent this was. I said deleted funny. Don't make faces, Alex. God. Deleted scenes I'd like to see if my small nitpicks are taken care of. And if they're not, then that's just the movie's fault, I guess.
Yeah.
And that would change it. If not, it could just be length. You're worried about length. So no one should ever be worried about length. Just do be who you are.
I'm going to go ahead and give Appa.
That's the best one, I think.
That was good. That
was the most deserving Appa.
That was a nice groan.
Yeah, it was the best Appa of the series. If we're getting into spoilers...
Yes,
one thing I thought you have your argument be on.
So we're done. If you have seen the movie, which you should by now, if not,
shame on you.
Shame on you. And keep watching. I mean, it's not going to affect the view count, so keep watching. Don't watch it again. I don't care. Bubba,
I think I have you beat on this one. The one scene at the very end where It looks the guy who looks like he has sympathy for Caesar the entire movie.
Yep.
And
The soldier?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it looks like the entire time he's gonna do something good, and right at the end, that is the nail in the coffin that makes you think, I don't want to root for these humans anymore. That's the nail in the coffin.
Didn't
Which I
he
think
shoot an arrow at him or something?
Yeah, which eventually, spoilers, kills him.
And that surprised me. I
think that's why. I think the director Matt Reeves wants you to think.
No, it was genius. And as soon as they did it, I knew why. I'm like, that's a really good way to cement who's good and who's bad.
Right.
In a franchise that has not had a cement good and bad since the first minute of the first movie.
Right. Because, the humans start attacking the other humans, and you're like, there's got to be still good people here, right? No. The one guy you think could be a nice guy kills Caesar.
Yep, and that was the shocking one for me. I didn't know if I was just dumb or if that...
No, I think it's intentional. You were not supposed to see that coming, and then when it happens, you're like, that's perfect. Yeah. It's perfect to the point where it's so imperfect that it is perfect. I know that's profound. I know that's... I was talking in Mike Stoklass's voice. You don't know who that is, Bubba. Don't laugh. But it sounds stupid, but it's such a real life imperfection that in a story that's just genius. That he thought to do that.
Absolutely. Any other spoilers?
Caesar dies.
Yes,
Caesar dies.
Which I will say,
the ending just kind of happens. It's
tacked on, but I think it's. If you look at it in the context of the entire trilogy, that's the only way to end it.
No, I agree, and that's like I said in my notes, like Caesar's story is wrapped up very nicely. Yeah. He's done his ultimate life goal, if you will. He got his species, his tribe almost. Yeah. It's gone to a tribal situation
to the promised land.
It's
very biblical. It's pretty much the story of Moses. If you go from the entire trilogy, you start off. He is born into royalty. And he's not royalty. They raise him as a royalty. He's raised as a human, like Moses is raised as royalty. He gets the shit kicked out of him. He goes to prison. Moses lives in the mountains because he killed somebody. He leads the people to freedom. He goes to war with his own brother, Koba, Pharaoh.
It's pretty good.
And then he takes him to the promised land, but he dies before he can enjoy it. Which it's, like I said, a basic story it's used so perfectly here. In this translation.
If this trilogy's proved anything, it's that you don't need to get all complex with your story if you can sell it with your acting and just have it. It's like almost like when you're playing a sport and your coach says, don't worry about all the fancy stuff, just make sure your fundamentals are good.
Right.
The fundamentals were good for 3 straight movies.
Yep.
And we're here talking, is this the best trilogy that in recent memory?
Right.
Or any memory. It just proves you don't need to go to extremely difficult lengths to try and get a good movie.
And I think this will be remembered because it's so simple. It's something that'll last decades. I mean, look at Star Wars. It's still popular. The very first Star Wars movie, honestly, every Star Wars movie, aside from the prequels, which are convoluted for no reason, they're basic stories based off of 1950s TV shows, just told in a different way.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't seen the Planet of the Apes trilogy, treat yourself.
It's good.
It's really good. Don't let being a fan of the originals stop you if that's the case. I know some people that was when the first one came out, but definitely see it.
Yeah.
And please watch some more low-budget entertainment videos. Thank you.